Starting as a new grad nurse is super exciting, but it can also be really terrifying. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 things that I wish that I knew before I started as a new graduate resident nurse. If you're new here, hi, my name is Maddie. I am a registered nurse. I have experience in the PACU and the cardiovascular ICU. I love creating content for new graduate nurses and nursing students, mostly hacks and tips and lifestyle habits to make your life easier. So in order to make you more confident and help you feel more prepared, let's get straight into the video. So first off is new graduate anxiety and maybe even pre-shift anxiety. The anxiety that you have as a new graduate nurse is totally normal, but not a lot of people talk about how to manage it. It's especially normal to feel the most overwhelmed in the first 3 to 6 months when you're just learning and just coming off of orientation. Most often during this time, you're going to feel slow, unsure, and just timid about everything that you're doing and thinking through. But being nervous does not mean that you're unsafe. And I also don't want people to buy into the thought that a lot of experienced nurses will oftentimes state that it's good that you have fear in you. That's a good thing. That's going to drive you to not make mistakes and do the right thing. But of course, we don't want that fear to last, and we don't want it to show in our professionalism. We want our patients to be just as confident in our skills as we are learning to become. Some ways to reduce anxiety, specifically pre-shift anxiety, is making sure that you have a really well-established pre-shift routine. So this could be a really good morning routine or evening routine if you're working on night shift. A lot of times you don't want to get up just 15 minutes before you have to head to work and scramble through a quick shower and getting ready, washing your hair, packing a lunch, and then getting out the door as quickly as you can. You're most likely going to feel better if you can eat a good meal before you go. Get up at least 30 minutes before you have to go on your shift. And just make sure you have enough time that you're not forgetting things that you might need to take to work with you. But it's also good to schedule just a little bit of time for yourself right before you have to start work. This can look like sitting in the car for about 10 minutes listening to your favorite music. It could be journaling or prayer time. FaceTiming a trusted friend is also not a bad idea either, or a family member. If there's somebody you can talk to who will either kind of talk to you through the morning or the evening or pray with you before you go to your shift as well. The other tip that I have is to create a first hour plan for when you actually get to your shift. This may look different based on who's precepting you, but figure out how to establish your first hour routine because it's going to look different when you come off orientation. This can include things like assessing, planning, looking at your labs, getting familiar with patient charts, things like that. And of course, your shift is never going to start out the same. You may get to work and immediately have to go take care of a super sick patient or get an admission or discharge someone. But if you can try to start with the same first hour routine every single shift, you'll find that it's easier to get your footing. And even when there's interruptions and things might go sideways or someone codes at the beginning of the shift, when you're establishing the same routine and it gets to go according to your routine plan, things just get a little bit easier and you're able to organize your thoughts better. Okay, the second thing that I kind of wish that I knew is time management is not something that's taught. You have to develop it. Depending on where you're at, maybe in school you were only seeing 1 to 2 patients at a time and taking vitals on a couple. But now you're responsible for anywhere from 2 to 6 patients total, either 2 really critical patients or maybe even up to 6 med-surg type patients. 3 things to make your shift a little bit easier with time management. One is kind of like the NCLEX says, always identify your sickest patient first and start there, because they're going to need the most interventions and they're probably going to take up the most amount of your time. The second thing is to try to filter through your mind actual problems versus potential problems. At the start of your shift, you want to start identifying and fixing actual problems, but near the second half of your shift, you want to start working on potential problems, things that you can make better for the night for the patients, things that you can make better for the night shift nurse, cleaning up the room and tidying up a little bit, perhaps labeling your lines and fluids at the end of the shift so that it's more organized. And then the third thing that you should be doing is clustering your tasks when possible. When you go into a room to assess a patient, Be ready to also flush their IV, maybe do their catheter care, maybe even take in stuff to do a bed change with you. And if there's a tech available, don't forget that you can delegate as well. And so when you go in to assess a patient, if you have a tech with you who can start the bed bath process while you're doing your assessment, and then together you guys can knock out either like helping the patient up to ambulate, getting into a chair, things that take two people, you've knocked out a lot in one visit to the patient instead of going back and forth and back and forth. So just try to gather what you need for the one patient before you even go into their room. Even if it's things that you might use later in the shift, maybe their catheter care isn't due yet, or their NG tube doesn't need to be flushed yet, but you know that the supplies is running low. Just take it all in with you so that the next time you go into the room, you don't have to remember it again and go back and forth to get it. And don't be afraid to ask your preceptors and the nurses around you who have worked on your specific unit for a hot minute, because they have probably streamlined really good routines and know how to manage their time pretty well. All right, tip number 3 is to start building your critical thinking skills early. For most new grads, you guys aren't going to struggle with content. You're going to be struggling with judgment, whether or not you're making the right decision for a patient. So start figuring out what deterioration for your patients actually looks like, and make sure you have experience around you to ask. And use the frameworks that you used in school, which are the ABCs, Maslow's hierarchy, things like that. It could also be perfusion or neuro changes, depending on where you are and what the patient has going on. And speaking of critical thinking skills, I want to thank Pocket Prep for sponsoring this portion of the video. A lot of new grad nurses will begin thinking about certifications within their first year of nursing. Depending on what specialty you're in, eventually you're going to want to hone your skills on that specialty and perhaps get a certification in your specific area. Over time, this kind of helps you hone in on what you specifically need to know, and it helps with those critical thinking skills. In most cases, having a certification, it may also allow you to have an increase in your paycheck, and it may gain you access to other learning opportunities or conferences where you can learn more about your specialty area. It also looks great on a resume, so if you ever switch positions or are looking to get hired elsewhere, you'll definitely be top pick if you have a certification already. And the best time to start studying for your certification is now, within your first year, because most nurses are able and eligible to get a certification in their specialty area by the end of 1 year in that specialty area. Pocket Prep is my personal favorite resource because you can get manageable daily practice out of your studying time. And it makes it easy to study whether you're on your lunch break, sitting on your couch, or commuting to work. Pocket Prep not only gives you study bank questions to study from, but it also gives you explanations so that you can really hone in on your critical thinking skills and know why what's wrong is wrong and why what's right is right. And if you're someone like me who gets easily overwhelmed by long study sessions, they have quick quizzes that you can do that are about 10 questions long and only take about 10 minutes as well. And to do this repetitively every day keeps you from having to do those long study sessions. It's super easy to do on your phone or on your laptop so that you don't have to lug a textbook around with you. I'll be leaving a link in the description box below so that you guys can check it out and figure out what certification you need for your specialty area, but also so you can try their free trial as well. So tip number 4 when starting as a new grad is to make sure you find somebody that you trust. This is someone you trust to ask questions, the stupid ones and the really smart ones. And someone who you can trust to confide in when you're feeling unsure about your thinking process and your care for a patient. You're not going to be able to impress everyone, and it's going to be really hard because some nurses are jaded and some have just a really old school way of thinking. So make sure you find somebody who you can trust to give you constructive criticism and who you're not trying to people please with, but who's going to just be super honest with you and encouraging. Start with a simple question such as, here's what I'm thinking for this scenario and patient before you do it, and then asking them, am I on the right track? Or simply ask, what's your process in this situation? Because of course your environment's going to shape how fast you grow. Tip number 5 is to just go ahead and accept the fact that you will make a mistake eventually. But the important thing is to know how to handle them and prevent them in the future. Mistakes are not going to define you as a nurse, but how you respond to them absolutely will. So own it, fix it, and learn from it. Make sure you go to that trusted person that you know to talk them through what's happened, and be ready to have to talk to a provider and own up to what you've done as well. If you're similar to me, it might be helpful to go to that trusted person or other individuals on your unit and ask them what mistakes they've made in the past. Not everybody will be willing to share right up front, but most people will. I know that I have with my new graduate preceptees. Because we're human at the end of the day, and although you're not going to find people on media sharing what mistakes they've had on a one-on-one personal conversation, plenty of people will tell you how nervous they were in their first year of nursing and own up to the mistakes they made, but also be willing to share how they fixed them. And this will just give you a sense of feeling that you're not alone. In all, if you're a new grad nurse, just know that you are doing so much better than you think, especially if you've gone to click on a video like this. It shows that you're wanting to do better and to do your best. So just keep learning and keep showing up. You will find a routine that works. You will be eventually comfortable with what you're doing, and it will get easier. If you want more new grad tips, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. I love posting weekly videos to help you gain more confidence in your nursing journey. And so subscribing and liking my content and engaging in the comment section makes it more possible for me to put this type of content out for you guys. And let me know what else you guys want to see. Drop it in the comments below what kind of content you're looking for. I'm so glad that you guys joined me today, and I will see you all in the next video. As I always say, tutu anana, I'll see you later.